automated newsletters, quant applications, regulatory documentation, dynamic PRDs straight from the code base. When I was playing around with these different tools, I found that I had to have like a different subscription for each different tool, and it became so much to handle. But I was thinking, oh, surely there's a better way to do this. And there's one tool that you can use for general day-to-day life, but then also to build things with. And that tool is Claude Code. So if I were to look at regular Claude or ChatGPT or any one of these other LLMs, you kind of have this case where there's siloed documentation, where you might have a project where you have maybe all of your PRDs and another project where you have your newsletters in, and you have to go through and dip in between them, and they can only be used as context for Claude, but Claude can't create them directly for you within that. However, on Claude Code side, you are able to have everything as context. You don't need to pick and create these special projects. You can just say, here's everything, you have access to everything. And then Claude can then not only read it, but also write it directly. So rather than saying, here's a massive Word doc, please can you update it and send me a fresh version with the changes, you just say, oh, can you go and do the changes yourself, which is a massive time saver. One of the best things about it, in my opinion. Claude Code is stored locally. So in the same way you have your like downloads and documents folder on your laptop or computer, and that's where the Claude or Claude Code will live. Another big benefit of Claude Code is its ability for parallel task execution. So regular Claude or Gemini or ChatGPT, say you want to do like a user interview synthesis, you might do it for participant number 1, then copy paste the prompt, do it for number 2, copy paste the prompt, do it for number 3. But with Claude Code, you can just say, look at all 3 of those interviews and run it in parallel all at once. Or you can delegate tasks to the agents, and each one of those has their own context window. So you're not sucking up the context of Mega Claude. You're telling Baby Claude, go and do this for me. So yeah, what a manager do really good at delegating, and this is good practice for doing just that. In terms of options for getting access to Claude Code, there's a few different approaches you can do. So if you're thinking about in terms of ease of setup and the power of what you can do with that tool, it starts off in the top left with web-based tools. So you just go on your browser, you can get access to it. There's also then desktop, which you download natively to your computer. VS Code, which is my favorite one, and I'll explain why. And then versus the terminal interface, which is what it was initially made for. But in my opinion, it's not quite as intuitive as VS Code.